Hi, Brad. It's so nice to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
Well, thank you, Alicia. I'm doing great.
Beautiful,
Glad to connect
beautiful.
from across the world, man. It's exciting.
Awesome. And listeners, you see, I've got to say this. Brad's got some amazing patience, man. He waited till all of these get to work. We had some technical issues, and Brad demonstrated patience. Thank you so very much, Brad. We truly appreciate that. Okay, yeah. You see, Brad, I am quite excited to have you on the show today for some reasons. And I want to thank you for two things, and I do this always, and it has even become an anthem. You see, I love to thank my guests for two things, two main things. And firstly, Brad, I want to thank you for investing in yourself. And you see, you are on this platform right now because you invested in yourself. And oftentimes, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, Brad, some months back, okay, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, there's this tall unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the tree's got no mangoes on it, and you see, it looks so dry, and. So I just walked past it. But you see, Brad, just recently I was on that same road, and this time around something changed. You see, the mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance, and immediately I got the urge to move closer and have a good look. And when I got closer, Brad, it wowed me because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches. And you see, not just mangoes, but ripe mangoes. So it caught my attention pretty good, and I was there standing and staring at the beauty. And I was just so eager to have a taste of the fruit, and it was an amazing experience because I watched the tree some months back looking all dry and now it's looking so beautiful. So the point is the fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing person you are today, that alone has made it really impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you see you got the request from me to be on the show. Because myself and my audience, we've got to benefit from the fruits of your knowledge. And you see, yeah, we're just so excited to have you on the show. So thank you so very much for investing in yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing I could do about it. Thank you so very much, man. I truly appreciate it.
We're just like a couple mango trees here.
Beautiful. Okay, let's get started. Brad, you see, I am quite excited to have on the show, like I said earlier, for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. For I believe in order to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Brad, I believe it takes the application of knowledge. And ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness means ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. The second reason why I'm excited to have the amazing Brad on the show is for the sake of the listeners. You see, Brad, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So those folks trust me for quality information. And I'm totally convinced, Brad, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So, for that reason, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or professional journey. We are just so curious right now. We want to know how you got here, Brad. Then, afterwards, I've got some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Brad, over to you.
Well, I guess notably, we're probably going to speak about my latest book. I've been writing many books about health and fitness. So I've really been a lifelong athlete, competitive athlete, driven to perform and push my body to the very best of my potential and mix it up and challenge myself and be brave and go out there and compete at a high level. And in my youth, I was an endurance athlete. So when I was a high school student and college student, I competed in long distance running. And then I transitioned over into this wonderful sport called triathlon. which was very new back in the old days when I started in the 80s and 90s. And I dedicated my life for around a decade to compete on the professional circuit. And I traveled all over the world. I didn't get any racing in Africa, unfortunately, but I would race in the Middle East and Europe and throughout America and going to Asia and Mexico and all over. It was really a tremendous journey in my life. And it was a very intense time because I was dedicating all my time and energy and my heart and soul to being the best triathlete I could be. And at my very best, I had some great success. I was U.S. national champion 2 times. I was ranked number 3 in the world at my highest. And that was a great path that informed the rest of my life, because even when I retired from competing at the highest level, I transitioned into a career writing and coaching other athletes, talking about training, promoting nutritional supplements and healthy eating and healthy living. And I've been doing that to this day. So I've written many books. I host my own podcast called the B.rad podcast, and I'm mainly dedicated to helping other people stay motivated, inspired, and focused on pursuing a life of peak performance and happiness and fitness and high energy, but also doing it in the right manner. Because today we see the tremendous popularity of fitness endeavors unlike any other time in history, where now people have the freedom and the resources to go and train for long distance events like running a marathon. The New York City Marathon had 54,000 finishers last year, all-time record. Imagine that many people running 26 miles. And the fitness clubs, at least in the United States where I am, are filled with people, and they're pushing their bodies and trying very hard to sweat and get in shape and lose excess body fat. And there are a lot of concerns where people are pushing themselves too hard and pursuing these goals with an inappropriate approach that's leading to breakdown, burnout, illness, and injury. And in truth, the process of being fit and strong and healthy and energetic, and even being a competitive athlete, does not entail the struggling and the suffering that we have been programmed to think that we need.
Amazing, man. Oh boy. Okay, you see, the part that caught my attention pretty good was where you mentioned the reason why you're doing what you're doing. And you said you're dedicated to helping people stay motivated and inspired. And you also mentioned doing it the right way. And I think that's a very important one, because I recently discovered that a lot of folks have been doing great things the wrong way. They have been putting so many energy in doing things the wrong way. And why this topic is so important to me is when I started doing some exercises, Brad, you see, I began to notice some change in my health. You know, the way I sleep and how I reason mentally and how I relate with people. So this is a topic that is very dear to my heart. So I'm going to be beginning with some questions, all right? Let us firstly talk about your book, okay? What inspired you to write this latest book of yours, and how did you come about the title?
So the title is Born to Walk, and it's a bit of a takeoff on the best-selling book from 2009 titled Born to Run. And this was a runaway bestseller for many years, and it was credited with really turbocharging the running boom and bringing sports like ultramarathon running and marathon running back into increased popularity, including the use of the barefoot shoes like the native runners that were featured in the book, the Tarahumara native living peoples in the Copper Canyon of Mexico. So the book was kind of a story of how humans have these natural genetic gifts for endurance feats. And some of these amazing humans on the planet that are featured, like the Tarahumara, and also featured were some of the top ultra runners from the West, from America, who came down and joined these primitive living peoples and participated in their long distance running races. And so the takeaways were like, wow, humans have amazing genetic gifts for endurance, and we should express these gifts and take off down the road ourselves and run and run and run. And this is a way to be fit and healthy and honor our ancestry. And all that message is wonderful. However, there are some important parameters to consider, and especially how we have a tendency to misinterpret and misappropriate these lessons from evolutionary biology to our detriment. So it is true from an evolutionary biology standpoint that the Homo sapiens species has an amazing number of genetic attributes that make us the most amazing endurance creatures on Earth. If you have a race that's long enough in distance, the human can outlast any animal. And there's a funny video on YouTube you can look up where they line up a hypothetical race between all these different animals. And so there's a cheetah, there's an antelope, there's a bear, there's a tiger, a lion, there's a horse, and there's a human. And if you go 200 meters, of course, the cheetah is beating everybody. And then the antelope can run for a half a mile faster than any other animal. But if you get out to 100 miles, the human is actually superior to even an endurance-based horse. And so the human can go and go and go. We have sweat glands. We're bipedal, so we stand up, and that gives us an advantage over all of our ape cousins. So we're these amazing endurance creatures. However, today, these amazing genetic gifts are buried under a lot of excess body fat and weak musculature and dysfunctional feet because we wear shoes our entire lives, and it cuts off our ability to make strong, adaptable feet. And so therefore, a lot of people who are driven and attracted to become runners are doing so in a manner that's not serving their health. It's not helping them lose excess body fat. It's in fact driving the accumulation of additional body fat because the sport is so strenuous, it causes you to overeat. And so there are all kinds of drawbacks from just throwing on these elevated cushion shoes and taking off down the road thinking that you're running somewhere in the name of your health and your fitness.
Wow. I think every athlete needs to listen to this. Amazing. Okay, so why should most runners switch to walking?
Here's the thing. If you are an extremely well-adapted, genetically gifted athlete, you're slender, you're powerful, you have good fitness capabilities, your muscles are in great shape, you have a very active lifestyle, you can take off running and enjoy it and get fit and not get tired and broken down. But that's very, very few people who are blessed with these gifts to run. And including most people in the younger age groups are the ones that can get away with it and do it. Like the kids in the middle school, they can go and have running races every day and get fitter and fitter and enjoy it. But for most adults, the idea is to perform your exercise at a pace that's not too strenuous. So when you finish your workout session, you actually feel refreshed and energized, and you feel better, and you have a positive mood. And those can happen when you control your heart rate into the correct training zone. And so whatever training zone is appropriate, that is your pace. And we have this important term that we talk about in the book called fat max heart rate. And that's the maximum number of fat calories per minute that you're burning at a particular heart rate. And so the fat max heart rate, which is around 180 minus your age in beats per minute, that is the point where you're burning the most fat with a minimal amount of glucose stimulation and stress hormone production. So the workout is energizing and fat burning when it's comfortably paced. And when the workout gets a little bit more difficult, like in the medium to difficult category, you start to burn more and more sugar and a smaller percentage of fat. Once you exceed that fat max heart rate, you go faster, you burn more calories, but you burn less fat. And the importance of a fat burning workout is that it allows you to build this endurance and this strong body and this strong heart and lung system without having the breakdown and the fatigue and the increased appetite and the injuries that can come when you're pushing yourself a little too hard. And when we watch the great Olympic runners on the television and they're racing and racing, and then they finish and they're smiling and they're raising their hand or they're waving their flag, they are so fit and so well adapted that they're not really exhausting themselves day after day with workouts that are so difficult that they collapse on the ground. That's what we see in the movies, and it's not the correct way to train the human body. So the average recreational enthusiast is possibly pushing themselves too hard. They're burning sugar calories instead of fat, which means they're going to go eat more food and they're not going to have success dropping excess body fat. And there's an increased rate of injuries and just exhaustion and fatigue from trying to do something well-meaning and you're devoted and you want to do the right thing to your body, but it's important to slow down in order to get fitter the right way.
Oh, man, this is very, very educating. And I feel like this is a very important, valuable information that we are getting for free. Thank you, Brad. I tell you, it's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. You see, I never knew, sugar, calories, and fat. Wow. Okay, okay. I think I got that. I'd have to listen to our conversation over and over again because this is very valuable, I tell you. Okay, let's get personal a bit, all right? So, can you describe for us your typical weekly workout routine?
Sure. I think the most important thing that I like to share with people, and I've developed this in the last 7 or 8 years now, is I wake up and the first thing I do every morning is I drop to the ground and I begin a sequence of gentle exercises of flexibility, mobility, and leg and core strengthening. And it's such a habit that I can't even imagine starting my day without doing this basic movement routine. And so what happens when I get into this routine is I start to awaken naturally and I get the blood flowing and the oxygen going through the body so that I have a natural, gentle, energizing effect. I'm also ideally doing this outdoors. If it's super cold or the weather's wrong, I will open up a little bit of a door so I get fresh air. But generally, I'm getting out of bed and I'm right away getting into a physical exercise routine to start my day. And by programming my body to do this and by doing it into habit category without thinking about it, now it's a centerpiece of my life. It's just like brushing my teeth or, doing the final act of, putting my pajamas on and getting into bed, whatever. It's part of a natural routine. Now, because I have installed this first thing in the morning, now my body feels better when I get up and go about the rest of my morning routine, which almost always entails a proper workout. But I do the morning flexibility, mobility, stretching routine before I go over to the running track to do a difficult workout or getting onto my bicycle and pedaling out for a bicycle ride. So my body is more prepared for anything because I start with just a few minutes is all I'm recommending at first for people. So even if you only have 2 to 3 minutes because you're so busy in the morning, you have to get the kids up, you have to get them breakfast, you have to get them out the door, whatever your busy schedule looks like, you can dedicate a few minutes to just moving your body gently. I have suggestions and I have a whole online course at my website that people can learn, but it doesn't have to be anything super complicated, just some gentle movements that you enjoy.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And definitely, the link to the online course will be added to the show note for this episode. Thank you. Okay, to bring this to an end, Brad, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those folks who would like to reach out to you, get your book, or even ask questions, how can that be possible?
So the final thought, and this is covered in detail in the book Born to Walk, is that today our number one obligation for general health, fitness, and longevity is to simply find ways to move more frequently in general everyday life. Yes, it's great to get to the gym and lift weights and do intensive workout protocols, but moving more is ranked higher in terms of the importance and the benefits by many experts in science and exercise physiology. It's more important to just walk around more than to adhere to a devoted fitness regimen because we sit for so long these days and we're in front of a screen or we're traveling in a vehicle and spending hours and hours. And then at our leisure time, we're sitting down on a couch looking at a screen. So just getting up and taking short walks, medium walks, long walks, finding ways to move your body. Even if you encounter a staircase in a building or the home and you rush up the staircase rather than walk slowly, these are little micro workouts that accumulate over time to wonderful overall fitness benefits. So that's my parting message, is that it's easy to get healthy just by making that objective to move more, both for short duration and long duration. And people can learn more about the book at borntowalkbook.com. And you can visit me at bradkearns.com. And I have the B.rad podcast where all podcasts are found. You can definitely find that. It's B.rad or Brad podcast. You can find it if you search.
Beautiful, beautiful. So that's going to be the end of the show, Brad. Thank you for coming and thank you for, Oh man, you just opened my eyes to some things that I never knew before. And now I'd have
Thanks,
to
Alicia.
process it all. Thank you
That's
so
right.
very
It's
much. That's gonna be
keep
the
it
end of
up,
the show,
man.
man.
Yeah, keep up the good work.
Thank you too.
Okay.